How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another Overwatch League update video. And I promise you this is the last news video for a while, and we'll go back to some of the other usual stuff I upload here on the channel. But because I feel obligated to upload news around here, I felt that I needed to give you guys this information for those of you who weren't already made aware of what's going on. So, earlier this afternoon, the league released their fully revised regular season schedule that does include all of the online makeup matches that will be played over these next couple of weeks to help us catch up to where we're supposed to be because of the coronavirus outbreak and all the cancellations. I'm sure a bunch of you want to know what the schedule is looking like, and I'm here to help you, but first off, I wanted to say that I'm not going to be going over all of these matches individually because there is a ton of games being played over March and April. I mean, there's a ludicrous amount of matches to help us try and get caught up to where we're supposed to be right now, but I figured I could still just scroll through all of them really quickly so you get a general idea, and if you want to further absorb the information, then feel free to pause the video and or check out the link in the description because I will have a link to the schedule itself. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about while we go over the schedule. So for one, like I was saying, there's a ton of games to be looking forward to. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting fed good over these next 2 months. In some of these weeks, we're going to have 20 plus matches going on. And as a friendly reminder, throughout the entire month of April, we're getting Friday games as well. So we get 3 days a week of Overwatch League instead of just the regular 2. Another thing worth noting is that because some of these games are going to be played in the Asian region as well as in the United States, we're going to get some really long streams. So if you're someone who doesn't really sleep much, then you're going to have a really good time, especially if you're like a high school student who can't go to school right now. You're going to have an absolute blast. Overwatch League is going to be a great source of entertainment for us while we're all kind of just stuck inside at the moment, you know? This is great. I unfortunately won't be able to go too crazy and stay up all the time because I need a sleep schedule I need to maintain since I will be undergoing online classes starting tomorrow on Wednesday. It really sucks, but it is what it is. It just means whenever I have free time, I'll be able to watch some VODs, you know, because there are going to be some games I miss. I know that for sure, whether it's because I'm busy doing homework or because it's just really late at night. Like, I'm probably not going to be able to catch those 3 a.m., 5 a.m. games. It's just not going to happen. Regardless of all of that, though, these next 2 months are going to be super action-packed, and I'm sure all of you, just like me, are super excited to see how things go. Another thing I should probably talk about is that around the time the league posted this updated schedule, they also did put out an article on their website talking about why they made some of the changes they did, as well as some other things in detail that we will be discussing a bit later in the video. Before we get into all of that though, there's a quick thing I wanted to remind you guys of that we discussed in the previous video, as well as something you can find in like the first couple of paragraphs in this new article, and that is of course the new geographic group system we're moving towards while we're doing online matches. As a memory jogger for you guys, we have 3 different groups being played here. So we have the 10 teams in the Atlantic Conference all in one group. They'll all be playing each other throughout these next 2 months. Then of course we have 6 teams playing in like California, I believe it is, with the Valiant, Gladiators, Shock, Dynasty, Fuel, and Titans. Then finally, in the last division, we have all the teams currently still residing in China and South Korea. So that means the Guangzhou Charge, Chengdu Hunters, Hangzhou Spark, and Shanghai Dragons will all be taking turns playing each other. And would you look at that? We finally have made it to the end of the new schedule. Make sure to let me know which matches you're looking forward to watching down in the comment section. And as a quick reminder, things are still subject to change. Right now, it's the intention to only have these online matches go until the end of April, but for all we know, we could have more events in the future get canceled and we'll have to continue to do this online format. It really depends on how much better or worse the current situation gets. And I get this feeling we could be in store for more online matches because the NBA has their season postponed until June at the moment, so yeah, I really don't know what's in store for the Overwatch League. If I had to take a guess, this could only just be the beginning. Enough about trying to predict the future though. Let's move on to the rest of the article I was mentioning earlier because there is some very important information that is going to change the way the rest of this season works. So, here's what the league had to say. The original 2020 schedule was balanced so that teams would play twice against teams in their own conferences, 18 of 28 matches, and once against the other conference, 10 of 28 matches. With teams playing by regional location, the schedule can no longer adhere to that breakdown. Some teams will play more than 2 matches against other teams, and some teams won't play each other. The league is currently evaluating changes to the structure of the 2020 playoffs, including format and qualification to account for this change. So as you can see, just from this one paragraph alone, we have some major changes coming that will seriously affect how teams play the rest of the regular season, as well as how they qualify for the playoffs. We don't really have any information yet when it comes to the playoffs, so I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. but if I had to take a guess, I'm assuming that there's a chance that double elimination bracket we have could be changed up a little bit. Perhaps the seeding will be different. I don't know what's going to happen with the play-in tournament. It's all kind of up in the air right now, and the same goes for qualification. Maybe we'll make it so we don't really have to worry about who wins each conference, perhaps? I don't know what they plan on doing. It's definitely going to be interesting, though. Let's talk more about the present, though, because we do have a lot of information when it comes to the regular season, and the big thing that I'm taking away from all of this is that the schedule isn't exactly what I'd call fair, especially for teams like the LA Valiant, because they're going to have some brutal games up ahead when you have the Shock, Titans, and Gladiators all in the same division. That's rough. Not to mention, there's also the Dynasty to worry about, and if you were paying attention to the schedule, the Valiant have to play the Shock like 3 weeks in a row right off the bat. That just really sucks. That's super unfortunate news, and the same thing could happen for, like, let's say someone in the Asian division, like the Chengdu Hunters. They're going to have to play the Dragons, Charge, and Spark over and over again, and what if they have trouble with all of them? Well, tough luck. They're just going to keep losing and losing and losing. There's no other options right now. Now, don't get me wrong. While this is unfair, this is probably the best way to go about it, you know? We need to try and make up these games as fast as humanly possible while making sure that we don't have a lot of major latency issues going on. There's probably going to be some very frustrated teams and fans, but there's nothing we can do about it. This is how we have to move forward. Even though I'm well aware that this is what we have to deal with and there's no other way around it, I can't help but also feel like this could really ruin the playoff hopes of some teams potentially, because it could be really unfair for some of the teams that have already played. They played some of the easier teams, and then some of these other teams don't really get that opportunity because they're stuck in a certain geographic location. And instead of getting some of those easy winnable games that a lot of other teams got, they're going to have to replace them with other really difficult games with opponents that they'll have to face multiple times instead of just twice at the most. Also, just from a basic fan perspective, it probably sucks to not see your team play everybody at least once, you know? You want to be able to test yourself. And there's certain rivalries that we could be missing out now between certain teams and players. All of that could be gone in some scenarios. Obviously, we're still going to get a bunch of those rivalries that we're really looking forward to, like Titan Shock is still on. We're going to get that multiple times, which is wonderful, but in some other instances, we won't always get what we want. With all of this in mind now, the next part of the article I wanted to read may seem a little just crazy for some of you and just laughable even for some. So in the course of playing this portion of the 2020 schedule, each team will play the amount of matches necessary to catch them up to the total amount of matches they had been scheduled to play through the midseason point of the original schedule. This means Pacific Conference teams will generally play more frequently than teams in the Atlantic Conference. The schedule was designed to maximize fairness between teams, factoring in the total amount of matches played each week. So the first part of this paragraph, I think it's all something we've come to expect. We knew that a lot of Pacific action was going to be taking place since they need to be caught up to everybody else, and we need everybody to play a certain amount of matches. Plus, we all want to see the Pacific play, right? It's been a long time since we've seen some of these teams play, like Shanghai, the Charge, the Dynasty, etc. We all just want to know what they're made of so we can make a complete power rankings list. But at the same time, the stuff about maximizing fairness, I really don't understand it all that much. I mean, you really think playing the Shock or like the Titans, for an example, 3 different times is fair? I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. I'm not sure whose idea it was to include that last little sentence about fairness, but whoever it was, probably not the best idea on your part. That's all I'm gonna say. This is going to leave a lot of people confused, angry, and you're just gonna get a lot of complaints in general. But even so, I have to remind myself, and I highly recommend you guys do the same, that desperate times call for desperate measures. The league has to do what they can to try and catch everything up. We can't just sit around and wait because we don't know how long this stuff is going to last for. Even though I don't believe in everything they've said, this is generally the right move to make, and I can't really blame the league for going in this direction. Anyway, moving on from all of this though, the final thing we have to discuss from the article, as well as the last thing we're going to talk about in this video in general, is that all March and April matches will be played using the updated hero pool selection process, which we did go over in detail in the previous video. Check it out if you haven't already. And they will also use the following map set. And we also talked about this in the previous video, but just as a quick reminder, all control maps will be played. Then on Assault, we have Hanamura, Volskaya Industries in Paris, Hybrid as Hollywood, Eichenwald, and Numbani, and Escort consists of Rialto, Route 66, and Dorado. And yeah, that's basically everything I've got for you guys today. So if you did enjoy this content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And make sure to let me know what you think of all of this new information down in the comment section, as I'm curious to know what other people think about all of this. And if you want to support me beyond my content alone, consider following me on Twitter at ATP Overwatch, joining my Discord server through the link in the description, or becoming a channel member today. And as always, thanks so much for watching today's video. I appreciate it a ton. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.